questions. So hey everyone, happy and happiest of Fridays. Uh, as the result of live polling on the official platform known as X, formerly known as Twitter, um, there was a consensus that the Black Tiara would come out today. And the Black
Yes, you like
Tiara did come out today, and I'm not talking about my own dark hair and freaking headphones, but yeah, Nicole really, pulling out all the stops for you guys. So you better be grateful. And also,
Do you like it? Do you like it? You never told me.
yes, I do like it. Some
You
friends of
voted
mine.
for it.
Yes, I did. I will
Mm.
dox myself my vote. I voted for the Black Tiara, the tiara of color, and I have to say, a friend of mine, her like high school kids are saying, they say call me elder emo. That I look like I was like I'm an old guy now, but like that I used to be an emo when I was a kid. I didn't really, but I'm sort of like I was goth adjacent for sure. And
Oh, okay.
so all the, obviously it's like there wasn't a choice of which one to vote for. I'm just like, bam, never
Yeah,
voted so fast for anything.
this is about as goth as it gets for like, nice girls from Nebraska. But
Yeah, Nebraska goth Barbie. That's a good
yeah.
handle if you get tired of Nerd Girl.
Yeah, or if I ever get banned, that's gonna be I'm set up an alt right now.
Yeah. Um, Michael Cluster says, "Hi nerds, how's it going?" Hey.
Bye.
And I have to say, you're one of my more requested guests on the show.
I have noticed that. It's really nice just
Yeah.
to feel wanted.
Yes, it is nice. I do enjoy quite a many of my guests. I would say you're definitely one of my very favorites.
Yeah.
And I'm not just saying because we're on air and you're in front of me like that, but definitely definitely it's a good time too. But it is, yeah, the requests are always nice. Audience
Sure.
participation. It would be crazy if someone was like, you never have Nicole anymore. This is just last Friday. What are you talking about? Oh, I didn't watch the show. Well, you request and you don't watch. That would really be
Yeah.
annoying. But thankfully, this is not the case.
Yeah.
Let me just see. Wait for a couple more people to trickle in before we start with the chaos. But
Lots of
yeah,
chaos today.
yeah. Supposedly, is your camera lens dirty or is it just the lighting? We got some feedback on that.
So let me check my settings. Oh, I see. So I had it on my computer camera and I just changed it to my pro webcam. Is that
Mm-hmm.
better? Okay.
Yes. Let's see. I'm trying to ask trying to tag someone on the Odysee stream to ask how the stuff is going. Which, by the way, I don't know if you've heard, but Odysee is switching to leaving the library blockchain and going to Arweave. I
I
think they'll
haven't.
have a big announcement or something around July 10th on that. So July is a big month for things. A lot of stuff's
Yeah,
coming out,
yeah, a lot of
including
stuff. Like,
freedom. You know.
yeah, and you know what? July 4th is actually my birthday.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Well, happy advance birthday.
thank you.
You better start playing "Born in the USA" on repeat the whole day.
I really,
Born in
yeah,
the
you know,
USA.
yeah. I really don't though. Like I really don't like do the whole red, white, and blue American flag thing.
Yeah, you know why? Because it's your day. It's not.
Yeah,
Screw
no, it's
America. It's all about you.
it's really like I really obviously like having that birthday, having been born on July 4th was like kind of grew up to like love, the 4th of July and the United States, and my family are immigrants too. I'm, first
Nice.
generation.
Ooh.
So I grew up to be like very proud of this country and, very happy to live here. And just like the older that I got and the more that I learned, the more disgusted that I was with what's been going on. And really like the more that I was like, hey, if you're really a patriot, if you're really an American,
Mm-hmm.
you would not be celebrating the things that America has become. So I, don't stand for the national anthem or the Pledge of Allegiance, and I like get a lot of flack for it, but it's not because I don't love liberty or freedom. It's because
Quite
those
the opposite, in
values
fact.
are no longer represented in our propaganda. Like the propaganda it's not real. And I feel like the founding fathers and mothers of the country today would be disgusted. They would be starting another revolution.
Yeah. The founding front hole havers, as they call them these days. But
Front
I'm
hole
just
flappers?
no,
What?
we're getting too crazy into the listen.
Okay.
That's more for an after party kind of thing. But
Okay.
Hilawi says immigrants from where? Because
Oh,
as we all know, Hilawi is also an immigrant.
okay. So my family is from Germany.
Nice, straight from Deutschland über alles.
Mhm.
Yeah, nice. What part is it? Like Bavaria or elsewhere? Or, you know.
So, like, actually, there's some debate over whether my family is Polish or German because they were from Lutz, which is kind of
Mm-hmm.
outside of Bavaria, but
Mm-hmm.
very, like, that area was contested over whether that was Poland or Germany. But my family spoke German.
Yeah. Let's go with German then. I mean, although also, to be fair, in terms of territorial things, Germany tend to win a lot of those arguments back in the day, especially with
Yep.
Poland. Poland lost
Yeah.
a lot of that, but that's old history anyway. Um, yeah. So let's probably get this thing going. We've been bantering for 11 minutes,
Okay.
and yeah, well, we have a lot of fun stuff to talk about for sure. A lot of not
Okay.
fun. Well, just stuff to talk about. It's always fun. All right. Intro time.
Mhm.
3, 2, 1, go. So, hey everyone, officially now, happy Friday. Welcome to the Digital Cash Rundown. This is episode 163. So, I've done this for 163 weeks, not all in a row. So, it's been a lot more than 163 weeks since I started this. And I'm joined by the one and only Nerd Girl 007, or Nicole. How's it going?
Hey, great. Thanks for having me.
Yes, always a pleasure, especially when you sport the black tiara, as was the will of the people, as was foretold. And
Mhm.
it's going to be a fun show. There's some really good, fun, positive stuff to talk about, and then there's a bunch of like the usual, you know, government nonsense type stuff to talk about too. So might
Yeah,
as well just
agree.
start to get into a little bit of this. First, I gotta do my Coin ATM radar shell because they're kind enough to not only throw me a bag for this stuff, but also to like a lot of my spicier tweets that I'm wondering if maybe they went too far. So that's even better than the money. So this podcast is very proudly sponsored by Coin ATM Radar. When buying crypto with cash, an ATM is much more reliable and safer than meeting some random person in a random place. And unlike an exchange, which could freeze your account, you truly do own all the crypto that you buy. With Coin ATM Radar, you can find crypto ATMs and other services where you can buy or sell cryptocurrencies for cash. Use cash while you still got it. They're trying to get rid of that too. On their website, you can search by coin, address, if an ATM supports selling as well as buying, and you can also search by geo area, such as country, state, city. You can also check and compare actual current fees at different ATMs. Find out more, go to coinatmradar.com, which is coinatmradar.com. I need a better radio voice, maybe. I think I'm like one of the
I think
better
you could
radio
do it.
voices,
I think
but
you could do it like really put on, like a Chico crypto, like really, but I
yeah,
feel like I can't watch a whole video of his because it's like, it doesn't stop the whole time. He never lets up. I feel like you could do
the
that for
inflection, yeah,
45 seconds.
his inflection, and I haven't watched his videos in years, but his inflections got a little old after like the first 30 seconds. It's just an inflection-y whatever. But I always have to give a shout out to my brother Chuck Williams. I don't know if you know Chuck, but he used to be a Dash developer. Now he's doing a bunch of other stuff, including his own personal project. He's going to be on next week, so tune into that. But he has the better radio voice between the two of us. deeper, clearer, much more, you
I
know,
think you could do it if you just practiced
listen.
a little bit, just like a
Yeah, but
short.
he's even better. Now, I
Okay.
also had a chat with what's his name? Ray from No One's, Ray Yusuf. And
Okay.
that guy, I'm not sure if he has a better radio voice than me, but he definitely has like he's one of those people who could voice like a god or a supervillain in a movie without messing with his vocals. Like just out the
Oh,
he had like one of those deep voices that almost sounds unnatural in like a really cool way, like like a Norse god or something like that.
wow.
And it's just like I'm like wow, that's like your actual voice, man. Like this is crazy, but in a really awesome way. So anyway, let's talk about the fun stuff here
All
going on.
right, cool. Where are we
Let's
starting?
let's start with the good stuff. The big announcement. Where's that button here?
The dash.
Yes. So,
Evolution.
big announcement. The Genesis release of the Evolution platform. I'm just gonna skip to the cool graphic because I did have a part in doing this with Midjourney and all that stuff. And I have to say, like the of all like the AI tools, there's a million AI tools do a million things. The graphic, as far as the graphic stuff, I really do like Midjourney, which is kind of the standard anyway. But just because of like the cool creative stuff, like if it can be frustrating if you try to, at least for me, because I'm not very good at using these. If you really try to get things to make something like a very specific thing, but if you just say like go nuts, make something awesome, makes cool graphics. Anyway, so basically, the Dash team has announced, the developers have announced the release of Evolution, which was by any, I can't really remember. It's hard to really pinpoint how long it's been kind of in the works. I know the Dash founder, Evan Duffield, in 2015 at Bitcoin Wednesdays in Amsterdam was talking about it, was talking about all this stuff. So it's conceptualized like 9 years ago, basically. And it's the first time I saw on any kind of a roadmap, I saw something mentioned about mid 2018. And it was late 2018 to early 2019. And then the years dragged on. And eventually, a bunch of people who were involved in making those promises got fired and like took off. And then finally, we got a release date for this thing. So it's a huge weight off my shoulders, personally, as someone who's been talking about this stuff since like 2017, sort of. And I kind of shut up for a while when I was like, yeesh, I kind of feel like I'm scamming people here, you know? And then
Right.
so, anyway, now it's like, oh, goodness, there's finally going to be something real. So before I ramble any more about this, outsider perspective, any thoughts from your end?
So, have I ever told you my dash story? Do you know
No,
about like?
I
Okay.
actually, so I actually don't know anything about you and Dash at all, other
Really?
than yeah, other than I I know some people who are in the same worlds as us. We're all
Right.
mutual, so I assume you kind of know something, but that's literally all
Yeah.
I know.
Okay, so in 2016, when I first started getting interested in cryptocurrency, I lived in Arizona and I had gone to
I'm
Arizona
sorry.
State.
Well,
Yeah, right. I don't live
you
there
went to.
anymore.
Did you go to ASSU?
I went to ASU, yeah, and Evan went to ASU. So I
Mm-hmm.
was first getting interested in cryptocurrency, and I was like looking, Reddit message boards for any meetups or anything that might be going on because I wanted to learn more. And there was
Mm-hmm.
actually a meetup at ASU, and Amanda, it was like when Amanda first came on the
Oh yeah, I
team
remember.
for Dash, and Amanda was presenting, and Evan was there. He hadn't officially left yet. And I think Ryan had just been hired as what C something.
See,
I
was it
don't
the
know.
CEO thing? Now,
Yeah, I think
could
so.
this have been March or April of 2017?
Yes, that probably is it.
Well, guess what? I was there.
You were there?
You must
I
not
was there.
have bumped into me, but I was
I guess.
there.
Yeah. Yeah. And they gave out like slips that
Uh huh.
had what are those codes called? You scan it with your phone. Now they're really common. You
QR
see them for
codes.
menus. Yes, a QR code, and you got Dash. And like I
Yeah.
remember leaving, and I was one of
Pete
the
did
last
that.
people.
Pete was doing that giveaway, I think. Pete Air.
Yeah, but I was like one of the last people leaving because I stayed because I wanted to talk to Amanda, um and someone handed me like a huge stack of them. Which is like, here, take these. So that was like my introduction to Dash. And then I think a few months later, after Amanda's contract, maybe it was a year later after Amanda's contract was over, Dash was looking for a new female to represent them, and they offered me that job, and I was advised not to take it because I shouldn't be pigeonholed into one thing.
Yeah, well, that's quite the history. First of all, just from my curiosity standpoint, who was it, or which, even if it's you can't say the individual, which entity asked you for the job, asked you to do the job?
So I had gone to the hiring fair, like there was a job fair at Consensus in New
Mm-hmm.
York. I think it was in 2018. And I went there and I was like, hey, because I live in Arizona, maybe it would be a good, for me to work with you guys. I can do marketing, I can do PR, I can, do journalism. And they were like, what do you think about being in front of a camera? And at that time, I hadn't even thought about that. And then we met again when I got back to Arizona, and the person's name, I believe, was Ray.
Ray, I don't remember.
And I could have that wrong. It's been like
It's
so many years,
yes, 7 to
so
be
many
precise.
people. Yeah.
Yeah. So the thing is, Amanda, who I've known about like 12 years now, I guess. In 2013, she was my roommate when I moved to New Hampshire.
Oh,
And
wow.
so I kind of knew her before she got into crypto. And then
Uh-huh.
she started writing for Cointelegraph and Bitcoin Magazine, and then did her show called The Daily Decrypt, which I
I
think she's
remember.
one of the OG, like, quality crypto YouTubers back in the
Yeah.
day. And she transitioned from that to just doing the Dash
Dash.
Detailed series. But what she did is she submitted her own proposal, right? Where she just said, like, I want to do this. Boom. And as far as I know, she was one of the first people to be consistently employed. And people can correct me, by the way. But as far as I know, because I came in, or I kind of started paying attention to Dash somewhere around that time. One of the first people to be full time but independent from the core team, as far as like the core group of people who were, part doing like Dash Foundation stuff before they had a treasury. Then they had a treasury, and then they were kind of getting a little bit of money off that, but very little because the price was so low at the time. And then anyway, so about a year in, Amanda just abruptly decided I'm not doing this anymore and just went away.
Oh,
So
well, I was the impression that her contract was for a year, and then it was that then she like had a non-compete for a year after, and maybe I have
I don't
that
know.
information wrong, or
I mean, I'm sure that's all like internal stuff. All I know is she had proposals into
Mhm.
the DAO the whole time, and then she just announced she wasn't doing it and didn't put in a proposal for the next year. And so
Mm.
it wasn't like, definitely she definitely left at that point, but it's not like she quit a job that she had because it was just she decided to stop asking for contracts and just go.
Got it.
So it's a
Yeah.
little different. So to be a perfect replacement for Amanda, you would have written your own proposal and asked for the job, right?
Yeah,
But
it was it
so
was
it must
not
have been
like
the
that.
core team actually asking, being like, "Hey, well, that was a really big benefit to us. We should actually hire someone to do what Amanda did," kind of.
And that is what our discussions were based on. But I was advised by multiple people not to get in, like, not to become a come on the scene in cryptocurrency as like a representative of one token or one community. And then I ended up taking a job as a journalist.
Yeah, I mean, how all these things kind of work out is here's the unfortunate reality. And by the way, like, just because I do like work for Dash, I do my own thing and I can say whatever the hell I want on my own show. So no, if someone decides to vote against my proposal because of what anything I say, go fuck yourself. So in retrospect, this probably was a good idea that you did what you did, because a lot of people during that era got sort of burned making these promises on behalf of other people that then they didn't end up fulfilling, at least not in time. And then it makes the spokesperson look bad. But hey, weren't you telling me about this? You scammed me. Remember, I lost all my life savings because of you. Like all this kind of like, Crypto's a weird place. I'm sure with like the hex involvement hasn't been like smooth either. I'm sure there's just,
Yeah,
it's
totally.
wild.
Totally. Even though I was always very clear about like, I don't work for them. I have
Hmm.
this token. I have other coins too, but I really did like that was the first thing that kind of went viral of mine was that audited video.
Hmm.
Um, so I think that's
Audited
what a
video.
lot of people did. I
I
think
love
that's
that
what a
video.
lot of people that's what a lot of people
Hmm.
know me for. Anyway, I would not have been a good replacement for Amanda because I was not nearly as knowledgeable as her. And so for many reasons, I think that worked out for the best.
Yeah. Also, maybe I'm speaking too early by saying this, but I kind of feel like in 2024, the age of the crypto shill is over. Like, it's not. It's harder to be like the one project guy or gal talking about this stuff, and even there are YouTubers or whoever with biases, it's still like a lot more like couched. Like now, people don't seem to like. I'm gonna go to my Cardano shill channel. I mean, never mind. Maybe for Cardano, but
Mhm.
for most projects, it's like I'm the maxi. Like, they're not that into that unless you're a BTCer. I kind of feel
Yeah.
like Bitcoin used to be more of a big tent than some of these other crypto communities.
Mhm.
And now it's kind of like Bitcoiners cornered the maximalist market almost. And it's like Bitcoin maximalists are almost all of the maximalists. And then there's some Monero maxis cropping up too, but and then Cardano, maybe.
Mhm.
Always them. But other than
Mhm.
that, everyone's just kind of chill. But so, yeah, just being not pigeonholed as that one person, I think is probably good, especially since I haven't seen Amanda branch out. She came back and did a few varying, like she came back like after a year or something like that, did some
Yeah.
other Dash videos explaining some things, then took off, and then she recently did like about a year stint helping do weekly videos for the Dash Incubator, which is, a development, kind of like a adapt development entity, and then she just moved on after that too. So she's kind of puttered in and out, but it's still largely Amanda is, branded, co-branded with Dash for life almost. So
Yeah.
it is kind of cool that you've managed to be, independent.
Yeah, even though I definitely am mostly associated with Hex and Pulse Chain. And it doesn't hurt that I have the Pulse Chain badge next to my name on X.
Hmm. Yeah. Did you go for that on purpose, or how did that end up
No,
happening?
so it was a community effort, a community member who organizes the annual conferences, the annual
Hmm.
online conferences, was secured a large donation from, a community whale
Hmm.
and purchased several badges. And then the badges were offered to people who were speakers at the conference. And it was kind of presented like, hey, if you get a badge, then it amplifies your message
Mm.
because you have this association. And I was like, yeah, I'll take a badge.
Yeah. Interesting. Uh, yeah. I mean, it kind of. I don't know how that really feels. I mean, I guess I could potentially. Thing is, the Dash account is not one of those like institutional accounts because first of all, it costs a lot of money on X to do
Yeah, it's
that.
$1,000 a month for the main account, and then like $300 a year for each additional, but someone made a large donation.
Yeah, it's not worth it. I don't think. I mean, I'm
Mhm.
not judging that, but when I started taking over some of this stuff at the beginning of this year, I was looking at the account and being like, okay, we need to get a check mark of some kind. And I was like, do we go for the regular premium, whatever, or do we go for institutional thing? I did my research, and a lot of people found that the big institutional thing actually decreases your reach compared to the other one. So it's like not as
Yeah,
good. So I'm like, I'm not gonna spend money on nothing. Get out of here. So yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I didn't spend any money. Like, I already had the premium, badge, whatever. I paid for a year up front,
Hmm.
and then I just kind of accepted this. But yeah, I mean, I would say even if it doesn't hinder your reach, it does probably put off a lot of people who don't want to associate with anyone who's like an official representative of X, Y, and Z, you know?
Yeah. Especially like I feel like if you have a badge, kind of, and I'm not like, I don't mind yours at all, right? But I do kind of feel like a lot of people then assume that you are acting in a professional capacity as far as that. And my personal account is me. It's just me. All the like, if you're looking for anything like what is Dash saying, like look at the Dash account. If there's something I want to post there, I post it there, right? But anything for me is my own words and exclusively my own words, and I'm not like I disclose who I work with just because I'm proud of it, of course, but like also anything I say is just me, and I do. I found it. One of my conditions is, of course, I'm not getting rid of this podcast. Right? I'm not getting rid of. I'm not going to not do this anymore. I'm not going to
Yeah.
become a maxi. I'm not going to become pigeonholed, and I'm
Mhm.
not going to stop doing like threads with my professional opinions on crypto matters that might not include this. And so I really think that that's kind of like having Amanda as a spokesperson for Dash was like a huge boost to the project at the time. And I feel like that era of where that kind of thing is a huge boost is kind of over. Like take,
Yeah.
I don't know, like, you know
I've got
that,
another example, another
yes.
really good example. You remember Nim?
Yeah, but not much about
What
him.
was her name? I can't remember. I've talked to her several times, but it's been so long.
What did she look like?
Blonde. Probably like about my age now, like then. So she was a little bit older than me. She had just started kind of just like Amanda. She had just made videos and covered Nim a lot, and then became, the official spokesperson for Nim. I can't remember her name.
Yeah. Damn, them has really crashed pretty far down there. I think they're kind of toast. It's crazy how
Yeah.
seeing how many projects have sort of been, around for all that time and stuff. But yeah, definitely the whole pigeonhole thing, the pigeon era is over.
Yep.
I find a lot of the like even the like Bitcoin influencers like Joe Nakamoto, you've seen him around, and then
Mhm.
that Isabella or whatever, the super energetic person who says like, I just quit sugar because I was having too much, and then but then had like insane abs on sugar. It's just like, dude, I keep my sugar intake to a minimum, and I got this like. They should call me the fluffy pony here. I'm just, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, but
Jesus.
do you eat grains?
Yeah, but I done keto doesn't work too well. I'm just a lazy person that likes to booze. That's really what it
Oh,
is.
all right,
So,
all right.
there's no mysteries here. Um, but yeah, being like a shill is just not the same. And like you have some people, like I know you've talked to like a lot of with like the BSV community and stuff.
Yeah.
But then
Mhm.
you have people like Kurt, who Kurt's a great dude. I love Kurt, but he's also
Mhm.
like not just a BSV person. He's like the Calvinaires bitch kind of person, sort of is, and it's just like I don't think that's good for his. He had a very good career reputation before that, and now
Yeah, I would say
I
that
feel like that's
Kurt is very
yeah.
much like his personal brand is inextricably tied to BSV at this point. Yeah.
Yeah, which is sad because before it was, I think he was one of the best people at having a strong personal brand in crypto, independent of these other things. Like when he's doing crypto traders, and he was like
Mhm.
posting all his like jujitsu stuff, and he's just doing consulting of this and that, and then with that, it's like, oof. Well, we'll see where we'll see where that goes once that gig runs out. But anyway, giant tangent. On the whole
Yeah.
like Dash thing. So I will at some point be telling. I'll find a way to get the story out of like the inside thing, but basically, the people involved with doing these kinds of promises kept things quiet and did a whole bunch of other stuff to keep stuff from coming out. And finally, around 2022, there was a capitulation. If you do want to scroll back far enough, there's a podcast on this channel where I did with Ryan Taylor, who headed up the Dash Core team at the time. And it was kind of like, it was like a 2.5 hour tense podcast. And
Mhm.
within the week afterwards, he had resigned. So that was the end of the era there. And then the healing process is the last 2 years of just like scrambling together, no more excuses, get this thing done. And so now the Evolution platform's out. Do you even know what Evolution is anymore? Because I think you might have had an idea back in the day, but the same idea everyone had, and then now it's very
No, I
different.
read your tweet. I think it's just it's something that makes Dash more usable, right? Like more usable as currency.
Yeah, hopefully. That's kind of the
Okay.
end goal.
Mhm.
Basically, it seems like these short-term benefits are going to be that you get to have identities, blockchain identities, like a username and contact list and all that data. So if I friend you on the blockchain, I can just talk to you and like send you payments, whatever, to your username. And if
Right.
I lose my phone, I restore my, with my seed phrase or whatever, and I get my contacts back as well. It's not just like a basic resolver. And so that's
Mhm.
like the big thing. And yeah,
Yeah, you wrote about that. It was like we needed the digital infrastructure layer so that the
yes,
payment would be more seamless.
yes. It's so basically, I mean, there's a lot of moving parts, and the whole thing's going to get a bunch of upgrades also over the years. But basically, it's introducing an entirely separate blockchain that interfaces with the main chain. That's like an entirely data based. It's like doing all the data stuff on that one, and you can seamlessly bridge between the two. So it's kind of like a lot of it's like a lot of projects. Let's just say the Solanas or the Multiverse X or the those kinds of things are all just like a monolithic everything chain, sharded, or Solana's not sharded, but sharding equivalent, right? Just Tezos, I guess, if you have the enshrined rollups, whatever, just does all the data stuff, and then you have a lot of things like say Bitcoin's L2 game is so weak that I even struggle to call it like L2 game, but a lot of things like that do L2 scaling where you have the main chain kind of does everything in a big way, and then the other L2s do everything the main chain does, but in a much more high volume way with some trade offs. Whereas in this case, it's just two chains, like the wrapper or whatever, like two chains, and then you got one purpose on this one and one purpose on that one. So I'm not sure if anything else has done that approach before. I know Avalanche has like a million chains. I cannot even comprehend that stuff. But yeah. Anyway, it should not be confused with layer 2 scaling before someone like Justin Bond starts freaking out at me. But it'll be interesting to see how the whole thing works. And yeah, I'm excited to see what kind of gets done out of it. But
Yeah, I mean, I think
more than this, the biggest thing is you're going to have like a lot of modern capabilities, such as like eventually like smart contracts, NFTs out the gate, of course,
I was
tokens,
going to ask you about that.
just
Yeah,
all that
because
kind
like
of
NFT come
yeah,
back.
all that modern stuff that old school blockchains like the Litecoins and the Moneros of the world, for example, just don't do, um, is going to be enabled, which is nice. But the number one biggest thing is I feel like the world has everything's been waiting for this, and I
Mhm.
feel like the sentiment around the project has largely been you guys got something you're supposed to deliver in like 2018 or 19, and if you can't, if it's still not like that's like vaporware scam project, get out of here kind of. It's like that
Mhm.
mentality, and just being able to be, oh look, we shipped something. It's just like a just kind of whew, that get that monkey off the back, can finally focus a little bit more on building again. So yeah.
I feel you. I mean, when the Pulse Chain sacrifice was announced, it was like 2 years in between when the Pulse Chain sacrifice ended and the product shipped. And, everyone had been told and was anticipating it's just going to take a couple of months. And it took 2 years and it was rough there for a little while. I mean, and, I feel you that's a thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's I can't think of off the top of your head, just as a fun game, I guess. Can you even think of any crypto that has had a big release, like on the future, like, oh, this we're gonna do this, it's gonna be awesome, that has delivered on time and at least met expectations? Does
No,
anything come to mind?
no.
I don't think so. So like
No, and
obvious,
there's
yeah,
like a really famous meme that it's not just crypto, right? It's like all software. One does it's like Game of Thrones meme. It's like one does not simply,
yeah,
well, yeah, like give a date for a launch.
yeah. One does not
Anticipate.
simply deliver on time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of a. I'm trying to think about like. So one of the biggest things is like the Lightning Network was hyped since also around like 2015 or
Yeah.
so. It did actually come out sort of 2019, 2020, like that
Mhm.
era. But then it just sucks so bad that people are kind of moving away from it now. It's like,
Mhm.
ugh. So that was it. That did deliver. It was always 18 more months was the meme. Remember for the longest time,
Mhm.
that kind of
Yep.
was a big failure. Ethereum is probably one of the bigger positive examples. But despite that, ETH 2.0, like when we're going to do proof of stake, Ethereum was associated with proof of stake, but proof of work for like 4 years or something like that. It's
I
crazy.
remember getting into Ethereum in 2016 or maybe early 2017 and thinking this is going to be proof of stake like by the end of the year or like, within the net, like it was like imminent, right? And it didn't happen until when? I don't even
Mm-hmm.
know when. 2021, 2022?
Yeah,
Yeah. So I think
2022.
it really is an issue of underestimating the complexity of the technology.
Yeah, and I do remember from afar hearing about Cardano and smart contracts for like ever. Like I didn't pay very close attention, but I've just heard that that was like forever, and they finally shipped, and it's yeah, people aren't
Yeah.
impressed or something. That's just what I'm
Yeah.
hearing.
Yeah.
ETH. So I'm trying to think of what else. I mean, Solana. I don't know. Did they ever promise not to break?
I
Because
don't know.
they broke like 8 million times, and then I thought this is it for the project, but then they just stayed around, and then now they're like, all right, now they seem to be kind of kicking everyone's ass a little bit.
We
So
should probably transition to the Solana conversation since we're in another one of these tangents, right? Like
yes,
there was
let's go right in.
Monaco's.
Let me where is it? Rearrange the tab here. All right, here we go. Solana. Boom. So I'm so excited to announce that VanEck just filed for the first Solana ETF in the U.S. And so some thoughts on why we believe Solana is a commodity. I did not read that. I ain't gonna read all that shit. But
Mhm.
yeah, you must know more about this stuff than me. What do you think?
So, I mean, whether it's a commodity or security, I really couldn't care less, right? Like it makes sense to me that they, with Ethereum and Bitcoin, like, and it being a similar function, that they would file an ETF and that they would believe it to be a commodity. I have no idea, like, what the SEC is going to do or how, how they how they judge and rule these things. I know it has something to do with sufficient decentralization.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but one thing, okay, so I sent you a link to a tweet, and then like there's a video associated with the tweet, and I kind of wanted to say this just about like all of the ETFs, right? So there's like a tweet. Can someone turn this into a meme? And then there's a video.
Yes. First of all, is any of that stuff like copyrighted or anything like that?
The
Do you know?
video?
Yes.
It's just a meme, like,
Well, just to make sure, because a couple times I've gotten demonetized for playing something that someone else did. But also, who posted this meme? I want to know what's the account.
okay.
Because the
So,
reason why is because on my main account I can't see it because that person has blocked me.
oh,
so
that's you blocked. Great. Okay.
I'll
So,
switch accounts so I can still show it.
okay. So which one? Zero X Collagen has you
No,
blocked or
the
Agent
one,
Chud?
the other person.
Agent Chud. So Agent Chud retweeted a video that is an elephant, a woman
Hmm.
catching an elephant's dung and like very excitedly running away with it. And then 0x College and said, can someone make a meme out of this where she is CT and the elephant VC's dumping on us? And I thought, like, this is so funny,
Yeah.
but not in terms of like, I mean, yes, it would work that way, but I feel like it's this with the SEC. Like, people are like, yeah, the SEC is gonna make us not a security and approve our ETF, and it's like, do you not understand that that means that these things can be more easily manipulated by traditional finance? You know?
I threw the Kala post up on the screen. I still can't see the other one. I don't think I was blocked, actually. I think this is a private account or something like that. Whatever it is, I'm restricted from seeing whoever.
Oh, it is private. It is private. Yeah. Okay.
But
I could send you from the other one.
It is a funny thing anyway. Like, as far as that is. Here's the thing. Like, listen, I ain't no expert in them fancy monies and finances and all that. But what I will tell you is all y'all motherfuckers are exit liquidity. Like, all y'all. Like, pretty much everyone. Like, the fact that people don't get that you could just dump on. Like, can you be dumped on? If the answer is yes, then there you go. Yes. Like, you will be dumped on. You know? And she will be dumped on. You know, it's like, okay.
Traditional finance is not going to be your exit liquidity.
Yeah. I'm going to put, now that I see that thing that you sent, I'm going to put that up on.
Okay.
Just for the funny thing.
Yeah, I don't think that there's any way that I can copyright it. It's just like, you know.
Yay, got the elephant dump. Okay, that's great. Yeah.
It's like, yeah. Yeah. So I don't know, all of the like celebrating and, you know, all of the excitement over ETFs, I'm not with it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's one of those things where, like, I also don't think that I don't necessarily think that it's like an on the whole bad thing. It might be like a necessary step. I don't find personal anything. It's like custodial services, right? Which is literally all it is, which I think they're not good. I don't recommend people use them. I think that freedom money should be freedom money, etc. But at the same time, you know, kind of can help pump your bags in the long term if a bunch of boomers get in. But that's also, you play with, you know, mess with the bull, get the horns, you know. I don't know. There's just, it's a lot of just like a fact of life kind of thing rather than this is a good thing or a bad thing. It's just, it's going to happen. As long as ETFs exist and your asset gets big enough, you will find a way for the big bag holders to dump on retail. That's just what it is. And so, yeah, that's kind of what this whole thing is. Which that reminds me of our brief off-air conversation about about the whole thing.
Let's start it with the SEC. You know, filing against MetaMask.
Well, let's hit that one.
Because it ties to the other
together quite well. So breaking. The SEC sued Consensus over its MetaMask product, alleging its staking and swaps services violated federal law. Okay, well, no, but okay.
Yeah, so what I was saying is, like, what in the heck is the SEC doing? They're losing, like, case after case. They're getting dismissed. They're getting sanctioned. So why is the SEC not, like, concentrating their efforts on winning one case instead of spreading things out so thin and losing everything? And then we were tying that, you know, you've got comments and of course you're going to make them, but we were tying that to the debate that happened last night, right? And there's a lot of speculation because this debate came months before it usually does. And there were several things. There's a lot of speculation that was done intentionally so that the Democratic committee would be able to replace Joe Biden as the nominee. And, you know, and then run away with the election because you can't just replace an incumbent, right? Like, so then there was a lot of, I don't know, there's a lot of speculation, like, well, why would why would the Democrats intentionally lose the debate? And they certainly knew that Joe was in no condition to, I don't know, sway that opinion. Although it seems online like plenty of people are still, riding with Biden. So like I guess there's a tie here between like why is the SEC intentionally losing all of these cases and choosing cases that they can't win, and like why are our political parties doing this insane stuff? And you've got comments about that.
Yeah, for sure. One thing as far as like learning things in life, one of the things that I've learned way too late, but I still feel like earlier than some people. The last few years, I've started to just see how people do things that don't make rational sense, but they do make sense for social bonds, as far as like groupthink and things like that. And if you think about people as the rational creatures we allegedly are, it makes no sense. If you think of people as highly evolved chimpanzees, it makes a lot of sense. As far as like, this is all like old legacy code in the brain. That this is how we kept ourselves alive, is we found reasons to rally around each other in groups in ways that we could survive. And whereas the lonely, like, that's the, the Homo sapiens, whereas the Neanderthal, apparently, what I've heard one or two YouTube videos say, and I didn't do any research on, is they were a little bit more maybe physically stronger or better than Homo sapiens, but also a lot more solitary. And as such, they got outcompeted over the time, and then also interbred with Homo sapiens. And that's kind of where we come from today. But it's like, it's very clear that with the SEC, what they're doing is not cohesive. It's not like they're not trying to pursue a very specific goal set and strategy that they're open and transparent about. What they're trying to do is crack down on the crypto industry for an agenda. They're trying to hurt the crypto industry because someone wants that to happen. And do you think Biden knows what a cryptocurrency is? No. I don't think he knows how to relieve himself unassisted, if you ask me. He doesn't know anything. But the coalition of people behind people like Elizabeth Warren, etc., are all very, pro-bank, pro-regulation, which regulation at the highest level just serves to crush the little guy competition, and the big ones who helped write the regulation make sure that they survive it. And so that's what's going on here, basically. And what I've seen with the SEC is they, in all these cases, and I've been to a few of the hearings and been actually like a few feet from the SEC lawyers as they give these arguments, they do not want to be clear what is or is not a security. They want it to be vague. In fact, they asked the judge not to define if a specific coin, such as the library token, is a security or not. They just want to sue the company behind it for illegally selling securities. So what the SEC is not trying to do, a single coin involved in the Coinbase thing, for example, the Coinbase case, which is the more high profile of these. They're not trying to say, we want this coin defined as a security, we want that coin defined as a security. Right. No, they entirely want to just sue Coinbase for selling illegal securities, but they won't say what it is, because they want to reserve the right to call anything a security at any point for whatever reason.
They do have some named, though.
Yes, they have some named, again, that they've said were sold as securities, but they're not alleging are securities, which is a very interesting. And not only is it a very interesting distinction, but the SEC lawyers are extremely adamant about this distinction being made. They're saying, just so you know, we do not want you to rule on whether or not these assets are securities. We are not asking you to do this today. We're not asking you to do this. And even when the judge has explicitly said, I want to rule on whether this asset is a security or not, and the SEC said, please don't. And the judge said, I could still rule on it, but I only want to. But my personal preference to do my job is to only rule on cases that are brought before me. So someone would have to actually bring a suit to say, please decide if this is a security or not, which no one is trying
And
to
that,
do.
obviously, with Pulse Chain specifically is being decided on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this whole thing and the fact that like the rulemaking it's being actively resisted, and the fact that there is a bill that went through Congress, that passed Congress with a good majority, I believe, that I believe is going to the Senate now. I haven't followed it. That would give very specific criteria for what is a security and what is a commodity, and the CFTC regulates commodities and the SEC regulates the securities. And it has like a decentralization spectrum that just with a bunch of very clear conditions that you could go to a judge if you felt you were unfairly attacked or whatever, and just say, according to these criteria, this project does or does not qualify. Making it clear. They don't want that at all. And I feel like it's been really weird with the Biden administration has done a lot of SEC, things, and a lot of like in the Ripple case, the judge has been basically talking a lot of smack to the SEC, like, what are you guys doing? This is ridiculous. And they don't care. They don't care if they're going to lose a case, because they're again, that's also why they're trying not to decide to allege if something is a security or not, because then they can lose their ability to come after them again. They just want to say, I want to sue Ripple Inc. for selling XRP as an unregistered security. So if they lose the case, which they didn't, but whatever, if they completely lose the case, then they can't go after, say, Coinbase for selling XRP as a security. So they just want to be able to go after everyone.
Yep, that makes sense. And it's really just a broader crackdown on crypto, which also could have something to do with like influencing public opinion, right? Like through media coverage. So I hear what you're saying. It's part of a broader strategy.
The interesting thing, what I've seen also, all these SEC crackdowns came to a head right around when they went after Roger Ver, right after when they arrested the Samurai people, right after they went after the Tornado Cash people, just a broad-based kind of crackdown to sort of shake out the industry. Not too long after Elizabeth Warren was doing her whole anti-crypto army nonsense. And then that is really pushed things too far. Old Teabag, as I like to call him, the former president, went really hard in the pro-crypto stuff. It already, so first of all, as far as I know, I haven't kept track. Actually, let me actually look it up in real time. But they're the Stand With Crypto PAC, Political Action Committee, which is mostly like Coinbase and all them. They have raised 87 million, I guess. And there's another one. I don't know if it's affiliated with them, but it's the Fair Shake PAC or whatever. I forget that congressperson who, for people who are into American politics, you probably know what this is. Some guy who like pulled the fire alarm to stop a vote from happening or whatever. He was kind of all over the news, whatever. He lost his primary. He was a big anti-crypto dude. Stand With Crypto donated something crazy like, 15 million in his primary election, the Democratic primary election, to get him to not win. And AOC was freaking out about this and all this stuff. So they're already throwing their weight around. The Week of Lost Twins, each of them donated $1 million to Trump for Trump's campaign, and then Jesse Powell of Kraken also donated $1 million to Trump.
Yeah,
there's just a lot, like this whole ricochet effect is very strong. No one, it seems like very few people actually want, maybe I'm making assumptions, very few people actually want Trump back in there, but it's like this is the vehicle to, stop the bleeding on crypto and kind of get some sanity. And after all this stuff started to happen, the Biden administration sort of softened some language immediately, started trying to talk to crypto influencers and roundtables, like immediately. And then as soon as the Trump indictment hit, then they went back to their old ways. And it's this weird little like power game that they're all playing, and I wish it wasn't going on. I wish they could just be left alone to build in peace.
Yeah. Just a reminder for anybody who might be thinking about making a crypto donation to any political candidate, not-for-profit organizations are required to liquidate any assets that are donated to them into fiat currency immediately upon receipt. So keep that in mind. I mean, $1 million in Ethereum isn't going to do anything. $1 million in Bitcoin isn't going to, move the needle. But in some smaller cap currencies, it definitely can.
Yeah. So can you imagine being like, I'm going to, like Xano or one of those like,
Yeah.
ones like that. Imagine you donate like $500 million in Xano. That's like, I mean, that's way above the market cap anyway. But like, like if you donate like $1 million and then just what do they call it? Like the Satan candle, like not the God candle, but the other way around. Just Satan candle. That thing to oblivion and ruin some people's lives. Like that would be so funny. You're like, oh, I'm gonna like make a statement.
I think people don't know that donations have to be liquidated, but they do.
Yeah, people who donate do know this stuff. People who tend to do this kind of stuff, but people that are just like, oh, I'm making my first crypto donation. So also, if you want to be set up with to take crypto donations as a political candidate or whatever, you need a processor that will do it like an auto convert. But yeah, as if this wasn't like, there's rumblings of trying to swap out the current Democratic nominee for the former First Lady, who I'm sure everyone knows who I'm talking about. And that's definitely not a friend of the Bitcoins. Definitely not a friend of the Corns. And so, yeah, this is going to be interesting in the U.S. to watch this play out. In the meantime, all those like MiCA regulations in Europe are causing, I think, just about every crypto business and wallet provider of any kind needs a license now. And so there's a lot of Europeans going through regulatory hell. I mean, a lot of people are like, come to Dubai, build your crypto empire in Dubai. Oh, the UAE just banned crypto payments. Doesn't mean they ban crypto startups, but they want their currency they want the dirham to, maintain some kind of whatever. Yeah, it's rough out there. It's hairy out there, but at the same time, I've never been more bullish on crypto and blockchain tech taking off and making a very positive impact for the world.
Well, that's good to hear.
That sounds like you're not as bullish.
No, I mean, it's like, I feel like I have phases, right? Like I'll be really excited for a little while and then I just get a little bit jaded, I'm like, oh, this is going to take forever or it's never going to happen, right? Recently you posted something about stable coins and I was like, who are you? And what have you done with Joel Valenzuela?
Oh yeah. Let me put that up on the screen just so you could see the post in case you're like, oh yeah, I remember that one. I have a lot, like it's one of those things. Definitely. It's like it's one of those growing up things.
Opposed to stable coins because you're essentially saying like this is the basis for CBDCs.
Yes, sort of. And so here I'm just gonna
like I've always so I can understand both perspectives, right? As a person who lives in a fiat world and whose like rent and bills are denominated in fiat and they don't care if my crypto was worth the amount of fiat, like it just the fiat dollar amount needs to be paid. So my perspective has always been that I have to have some stable coins or some fiat, right? Like I have to, because I have to be able to pay for things. And you've kind of always been like, I just ride the wave, right? And that's
just true.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here's the thing about stablecoins, right? And here's the thing I really make, I consistently talk about these days, especially, is about crypto is not freedom. Crypto is not financial sovereignty. It's none of those things. It's a tool. And if you want freedom, it could work as a great tool for it, or it could it could not work as a great tool. That's all it is, right? It's about the tool that it is. And so
Mhm.
I remember when I first heard about Tether way back in the day, right? So like I've been sort of paying attention to crypto for about 12 years now, kind of actively participating in crypto for like 11 years. And I remember
Mhm.
just looking at the market cap, like, what the hell is this Tether thing? And I struggled to understand a stablecoin at first. I didn't know what it was. And there was only one really. I mean there was a few. There was like what was that weird dollar thing? It wasn't called Nano. It was obviously not Nano, but it was called something else. I way back in the something bits like Limbit. I don't remember what it's called, but we're talking like bit shares type era, like way back in the day.
Mhm.
Anyway, stable coins. I was like, what is Tether? And so it's like, oh well, some people put money in and then they put fiat in and they get this little fiat token on crypto. It's like, why do you need fiat on crypto? And it's like, oh well, it's like a trader, and like I understood it as like a trader tool, where
Mhm.
at first it's just like, well, if you don't want to cash out to your bank account in the middle of trades, you just buy Tether, and that's how you
Right.
lock in your value for trades, and then eventually you go back out. That was like
Or if
my
you're moving large amounts between exchanges or wallets and you don't want to incur volatility.
yeah. It's so that was my like like the brain, like the enlightenment brain meme. That was like my like tiny brain thing on stablecoins. It was just like
Uh,
that's all it is. Then I was like, oh, centralized exchanges don't want to KYC people. Just
mhm.
offer a tether trading pair instead of actual USD pairs and
Mhm.
or whatever other currency. So then people do all their trading, all their no KYC, fast and furious, whatever other stuff, and then if they need to cash out, then they move Tether to an exchange or a Bitcoin to an exchange that then they can cash out. Okay, that understands. I understand you're trying to do the run around the government, but basically, that's literally all you're doing is a run around the government here. And then
Mhm.
now those are starting to require KYC too. Now you can't really do a no KYC custodial exchange. It just doesn't really exist in 2024. Kind of does, depending on the jurisdiction, but it's on its way out. And so
Mhm.
then I'm thinking like, oh, everyone's like talking all the stablecoin stuff. First of all, it's a super powerful tool for the modern crypto economy to really function. First of all, if you're doing DEX trading,
Yeah.
like you're not going to be able to do an off ramp for fiat every time because a DEX can't interface with fiat. It only does blockchain rail. So at least you need a dollar on a blockchain rail to be able to do that. Also, Thorchain and Maya Protocol and all these other all the cross chain giants need a stablecoin in order to price assets. Like there's no oracle that they plug into that finds what's the price feed from Binance for these assets. Like no, it's literally like a slippage based, AMM pool where it's like, oh, Dash is $100 in this pool. All right, so then you're going to sell a lot of Dash for whatever else, and then the price goes down until, oh shit, it's cheaper than market price. Then you buy it back and it just auto adjusts. But against what? Stable coins. And be based on like if you have Tether, USDC, DAI, and a couple others on the platform, that's literally what prices the entire rest of the assets on these things. So all the cross-chain AMM dexes, as far as I understand, need stablecoins just to price things, just to function. So it's like,
Mhm.
okay, well then you need that tool. So I really like those things. You need the tool for that. And then you realize a lot of like, so I've run treasuries, I've run things with budgets denominated in crypto. And let me tell you, it does get stressful if you have a dump and all of a sudden you don't know if you're going to be able to make all the payments like salary and
Yep.
stuff like that. And
I've experienced this as well.
yes, everyone who's a real crypto OG has experienced this. And
Mhm.
so at least, even if you don't, at least you want to say, what are my obligations? I want them all in stablecoins for now. And
Mhm.
anything that's not an obligation, I can ride the market with, whatever, if you want to be pure or everything in stables. And so for people running DAOs and stuff like that, you kind of need that. Also, like it's been a thing where like I've paid someone before and based on the day that I pay, like, oh, they don't check their wallet for 3 days, and now it's like a different value than
Yep.
like whatever. And so just for accounting purposes, it really helps if you're running a DAO or something like that to pay someone in stable coins, and then whenever they check their wallet, they still have the agreed upon contractual amount of value,
Yep.
where, unless the dollar dumps slower, I guess, right? And then if they want to
Right.
then do volatile crypto, they have to decide when they're going to enter into that rather than the employer doing that. So you have all
Right.
these.
It also doesn't negatively price impact the token that you're paying in. So like,
Yes.
we would pay there have been times where like moderators were paid in tokens. And
Hmm.
then those moderators are not people who were, wanting to, or those people were relying on that income. And so they had to cash that out. But if you're
Hmm.
paying them in stable coins, then there's no negative price impact in
Yeah,
on the
no
token.
immediate one for sure.
And there's potential positive price impact
If they buy.
if the people who are working for you believe in the project they're working on.
Yeah, which reminds me of. Do you remember Ben Swan? Is that name familiar? Truth in Media.
Familiar. Truth in Media, I know.
Ben Swan. He was a big independent journalist, kind of like a predecessor to Tucker Carlson, who Tucker Carlson is now, sort of, in terms of,
Okay.
except an actual investigative journalist who was one of those few people who's on mainstream media news, getting into deep, like real, for lack of a better term, real shit news stories. And he ended up getting sponsored by Dash in 2017 onward for like about a year or so. And then after, eventually the treasury couldn't afford him anymore. And so when I was said, hey, look, there's a few other treasuries out there. One of them was Smart Cash. I don't know if you remember Smart Cash from back in the day.
No.
This is like, wow. It's like I feel like an old man telling stories of, time of yore. But Smart Cash was one of these. It was like a Z coin fork.
Okay.
So it was like a privacy coin that had, I think something like an 85% of their coin emission went to the treasury or something. It was like a massive, like very little to securing the network. They couldn't get they had some issues with the privacy and they ended up disabling it anyway. It's kind of a defunct project now as far as I'm aware, but they were kind of everywhere. They're paying everyone in Latin America, especially Brazil and all this kind of stuff. Anyway, so Ben Swan ended up getting paid by them from like half of their monthly treasury, because it's like, wow, this is a big name. This is like the biggest promo thing ever. First of all, it didn't really convert to more investors or users that much, but every month he just dumped everything he got paid for. And so it just kept on and like people are screaming like, he's dumping the coin to oblivion, and just like we can't fund him. And there was actually like a DAO governance proposal to like defund him that got like removed because the treasury wasn't decentralized. It was like the few project maintainers. And so literally this dude, by doing a good job working for the project, sunk the entire project, destroyed it
Yeah.
basically by dumping all of his money the whole way down. And Smart Cash was a big, very antagonistic competitor to Dash at that time. And I kind of feel like it wasn't my intent. I was just trying to help a homie out, but I kind of feel like I sent him as like a suicide bomber to go boom and just take them out, because that's how it worked out. But yes, as far as that, so to finish up the last couple points on the stablecoin thing, in addition to just all those kinds of things, merchants that don't want to go through KYC and paperwork and all this stuff just to liquidate, but they can't deal with the volatility, you can auto convert to a stablecoin at the back end for all your sales in crypto. So then you can still make payroll. Your accounting isn't like, well, I made this much money and it's a completely different value now. It's like, no, I made $800 in sales today. I have $800 to show for it. I pay my employees to do whatever. Then I speculate with whatever is left.
Yep.
Like for accounting purposes, super important. And also, even for stablecoins that do cash out to a bank account, even for merchants that do that, a lot of people don't do instant convert. Like they don't sell, they get $5 in sales. They don't ACH that to their bank account right away. No. Even if they have a provider that does that kind of stuff, they they wait for certain intervals to batch sell to the bank account, and there's a volatility risk in that interval. For
Yep.
someone out there has that volatility risk, unless so they charge higher spreads, higher fees to do this because of the risk. But if they auto convert to stable coins, then all of a sudden, like a merchant taking, let's say, a Litecoin payment, they might charge 2% or 3% to convert it to fiat in the bank account. But if they can swap to a stable coin immediately, they could get that down like a 1% to get to the bank because they don't have to deal with all that volatility. And so from like all these levels, it's just super important to have this in the ecosystem today until we have pricing in native other units such as Bitcoin,
Yep.
for example,
Yep.
or just crypto is just not volatile anymore, which
Right. I totally agree.
it's going to take a long time for that. But philosophically, I still think stablecoins are a digital a faker digital version of the dollar, like of cash. And as such, I don't like them. I don't think we should use them more than we have to. I'm just much more
But we do
realistic
have
now.
to. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I largely don't have to personally for my own money, but like, so I can choose not to. But like,
Right.
and also the stuff I do with Dash is not denominated in stablecoins either. So so like my
Right.
life touches stablecoins almost not at all. But for real people who aren't weirdos like me with my unique situations, you probably should have support for stablecoins on your network.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
Wins, we need them.
Yes. The problem with stablecoins, other than all philosophical rah rah, I hate the dollar, that stuff. I don't know I think they're a lot riskier than people give them credit for.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, just look like UST, last cycle, right?
Yeah.
And what I think in this cycle, we've seen USDC depeg to 80 cents at one point. It was short, but it happened.
I know multiple people that bought the USDC dip hardcore,
Yeah. Oh, I do too. I do too. Yeah.
which is hilarious. It's like, it's
'Cause
just
it was like almost a guaranteed,
it's like buying a house that is currently on fire because you're like,
Yeah.
I think I can get that out real quick. Like,
Yeah.
listen, you could have a burned to the ground house with a bunch of money, but okay.
I know people who bought the UST dip too, and obviously that didn't work out for them.
Yeah, I know a lot of people that did that, unfortunately. But yeah, that's what I'm saying is if it's an algo stable or decentralized, over collateralized, whatever it is, there's always a risk that it goes kaput because of that. And then for the centralized stable coins, there's a lot of like regulatory risk. Like Tether Euro just got phased out. Like they don't do that anymore because
Yeah.
of all those regulations. And I'm sure I don't know who the hell is okay with PayPal, with Circle, with Tether, all just like counterfeiting money, kind of. Not really counterfeiting money, but just printing fake, like issuing money, kind of. Like, who the hell is okay with this? And I understand that the government is not, like, they haven't gotten around to figuring out how to do it, but at some point they're either going to ban it all and then all your stables go to nothing, or more importantly, all your stablecoin based business and applications and all that just kind of go away. Or they're going to say you all have to register at the Federal Reserve and become proxy CBDCs. Both of those are high likelihood to have. One of those two outcomes, I would say, is like 80% likelihood to happen in the next 10 years, if I were just to guess. So that's the risk with stablecoins. There's some risk.
Yeah. Yeah, there's risk for sure. I mean, it's not necessarily as much as holding your liabilities for next month in crypto, knowing that you could potentially lose 90% of it and not be able to cover your commitments. But yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. At the end of the day, I really do believe that these decentralized cryptos are going to be good and stable and stuff, but it's each passing year. Like the likelihood that BTC goes to zero abruptly over the course of a year is super low, if you ask me. I'm just guessing. Now, do I think BTC will eventually go to zero? That's a different story, and I'm not sure if I have an opinion on that. But we've all covered Bitcoin's many flaws. But the point is, it's entrenched enough that it's going to retain at least some of its value over a 1 year period, almost guaranteed. So,
Yeah.
that's kind of where we're at with that. The last thing I got is just that Eric Voorhees tweet that I forgot to put up about Coinbase. And then, so some Kyle Chasse, I don't know who that hell that is, but they said the U.S. government just sent 4,000 Bitcoin to Coinbase. And Eric Voorhees, who's a fantastic wordsmith with this kind of stuff, he says U.S. government declared Coinbase an illegal brokerage and then proceeded to use Coinbase as its brokerage.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a little. It stings, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It stings. Do you have any pithy thoughts on that, or is that kind of self-explanatory almost?
No, yeah, I feel like that is as well stated as it possibly could be. Huge Eric Voorhees fan.
Yeah. It's the way with words that I can kind of hope I could get better at, because that's a really good talent in this space of just encapsulating the principles and everything in just a few words there. But
Yeah.
I think we're coming up on shill o'clock. If I
Okay.
check the time correctly.
Yeah, yes, she'll look like.
Do you have anything to shill other than your own X, formerly known as Twitter feed?
Yeah, I guess so. So if there's any Pulse Chain people or Pulse Chain curious people watching, which I imagine that there are or will be at some point, I have a friend who created Sugarheads NFTs on Ethereum and has created a pixel art version of those NFTs that are going to be launching on Pulse Chain. They will have a free mint date for HOA holders. So if you hold 5,555 HOA, you will be eligible to mint one free Sugarhead pixel on Pulse Chain. And then if you have even one HOA, you will be eligible to mint up to 10 Sugarhead pixels on July 6th at a 33% discount.
Is there a site I could send them? I can put up on the screen for this.
Yeah, so sugarheads.io.
Well, let me see if that works. There we go.
So what I really think is cool about Sugarheads is they're not just pixel art NFTs, right? They have actually a backing behind them. So a portion of the fund, so it's split into thirds. 1/3 is for a starving artist fund. 1/3 is going to be used to develop a game that's like a Snake.io spinoff game. It's like a GambleFi game. And then 1/3, just as it was with the Sugarheads on Ethereum, will be used to buy various Pulse Chain assets and then stored in a vault and locked for 365 days. And when the vault unlocks, NFT holders will have access to their portion of the assets that are in that vault. Now, depending on how well those assets are chosen, that could be a lot of money or it could be nothing. So Sugarheads really wants the community to speak up and tell them what assets they want, people want to see in that vault. Now, obviously, there's going to be some Pulse and there's going to be some HOA, as these are communities that are certainly involved in this launch, but there's lots of room for much lower cap tokens to be involved. So if that's something that sounds interesting to you, join in some Sugarhead spaces and, tweets and let us know what you want to hold.
Very interesting. Yeah, I really like the elements of NFTs that allow them to be much more than I just buy a dumb JPEG thing, but you actually have decision-making power into something cool and see kind of where that whole thing goes.
And essentially keep your NFT that you can use for gameplay and have access to assets in the vault that could pay you back, several times over what you spent on the NFT.
Yeah, perfect. And of course, Don't forget to follow Nerd Girl 007. That's Nerd Girl with no vowels because vowels are for communists. 007
Yep.
on X. And yeah, I see she posts some of my stuff sometimes, but also has a bunch of fun other takes, including which tiara should I wear on the live stream. Ruby got, listen, if I hadn't voted, it would have been a 50-50, I think.
Yeah, it was. It was so close. I think you were the tiebreaker.
Yes. So,
How many accounts did you vote from?
no, just one. But now it makes
Okay.
me feel a little like I should have tipped the scales more.
Well, it doesn't matter. I wore the goth tiara.
Yeah, including takes on these LED implants, which I saw it too, and I still haven't fully like come to like I still haven't like processed that this is reality yet. I'm just like, all right, I guess, and I just Wi-Fi your cans, okay.
I mean, I feel like people should be able to do whatever they want with their body. Adults should be able to do
Yeah.
whatever they want with their bodies, right? But I just think it's a really bad idea. Like silicone itself causes health problems. Now imagine lead poisoning.
Yeah, and imagine you trying to hide in the dark from some stalker or something like that, and then you accidentally get them turned on.
Yeah.
And, yeah. I don't know. I'm sure someone out there should be fun, especially at a. Maybe we need to get someone with those for like a Dash Evolution launch party, which is a joke, an in joke, because for one of these Bitcoin conferences in 2018 or 17, I think it was 2017. One of those keynote conferences. Dash was the prime sponsor for that back in the day, and as a joke, allegedly, the conference, the after party that was sponsored, it was in Miami, I believe. The after party that was proudly sponsored by Dash with all this stuff all over the place, was at a strip club. And
I've heard of this. Yeah.
And it was supposedly to mess with which it's kind of like if you're paying someone lots of money to run an event for you or whatever like that, and they're doing things to mess with you, that's not a good look from a business standpoint. I'm just going to start there. Mm-hmm. On the other side, lighten up. I don't care. Fucking strip club. Who cares? I've never been to a strip club, but I don't care if anyone else does, and who cares? But it was kind of funny because it was a big source of drama. A lot of people in the Dash community were very upset with it, and a lot of the rest of the trolls in the other crypto communities, including a bunch of Monero people. Now, Monero people aren't into purely legal things even, much less, this stuff. But like Fluffy Pony was hand-wringing, oh, I'm so concerned about like,
right.
exploitation of women. Oh, just
go
fuck yourself, you fat bastard. But yeah, he and I don't get along.
More about your feelings on Fluffy Pony.
Yes, he and I do not get along very well in the slightest, despite I've had a lot better relationships with the Monero community now that they don't threaten to assassinate me anymore. But Fluffy, no.
You
never
and him
could.
No. I'm getting the signal that I need to go.
Perfect. Great time to wrap up. Don't forget, taxation is theft, fiat is a scam, your phone is spying on you, and start living on crypto before it's too late. Happy weekend, party people. Dash Evolution launching July 29th. See you guys next week. Bye-bye.